Okay, let's go next to our caller from the 862 area code. Who's calling today from 862?
Is that me?
That is you. Who's this?
Hello? Hi there, this is Sam from New Jersey.
Hey, Sam, what's going on?
I just had a quick question about your previous comments on like the whole discussion about private corporations, like the social media ones, and the whole Trump's his executive order thing,
Yeah.
right? You defended that. So
Wait, I defended
I had
Trump's
a question.
executive order? What are you
Sorry,
talking about?
no. That was a misphrase. Sorry, misspoke. The private companies, how they have the right to host what they want on websites.
Yes,
If I'm misrepresenting you, sorry, but I just wanted to kind of like quickly remind you of what that
I
was.
got it.
So my question seemed contextual. So I had a question about how you feel about their targeted ads, like specifically Instagram and Facebook. I don't know if you've heard, but or like experienced this yourself, but it almost seems like just having a discussion with people around like your phone or your computer. You'll go on to like Instagram or whatnot, and there will be targeted ads just about things that you were discussing. Like say I
Yes.
want like a new video game, right? Or something like that, or anything along those lines. And I go on Instagram and within 5 minutes I see an ad for something like that. Do you
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like
This
that
this
sort of
is
thing
not, I
is
mean,
an
so let me talk
intrusion?
about this a little bit for people who, so
Sure.
I don't think that this is, my understanding is that this is not the platforms that are doing this. So basically I have a little bit of an understanding of this. I've tested this a number of times. So at one point I was thinking of getting a particular sneaker. And it's a sneaker. I'm not going to say the sneaker brand because they're not paying for ads and it just doesn't really matter. But
Sure.
it's a sort of an
Sure.
obscure sneaker brand. So it's not like I had been saying the name of it regularly. And I mentioned it to my girlfriend. And then the next day I got ads on Instagram for that sneaker company. And as a test, she said a different, like I found an obscure sneaker brand and we talked about it. And she started getting ads for that sneaker brand the next day. Same thing happened with a Boston sports club that was opening where we mentioned it and I start getting ads for it. So this is happening, but my understanding is that this is not the social media platform that is, quote, doing this, that this is information that is available for advertisers to take advantage of when they want to advertise on different platforms. So I'm just not sure that it's accurate to say that that's something that Twitter is doing. I think this is a function of the way that you have your phone configured. I think it has something to do with, someone told me if you turn Bluetooth off, that won't happen, although that doesn't totally make sense to me. But yes, I know
That
exactly
sounds
what you're talking
like a
about.
faux solution to that. But I don't see how those two things could be connected. But yeah, I guess my question about it would be, well, whether it's the social media companies or not, do you feel like, well, because they are hosting the ability to do that if it's not them directly doing
They're
it.
allowing you to
So I have
target on that basis for sure. Yeah, I would agree with that.
yeah. Do you find that to be an intrusive thing, or do you think that's allowed as something that a private corporation should be allowed to do?
Well, so again, we have to distinguish what it is that we are talking about. I find it intrusive and
Okay,
creepy. I find it intrusive and creepy on a personal level. Now, we
as
are
do I.
granting our phones the permissions required to do this. The strongest argument I've heard is we're granting it without even really knowing it because who really understands all of those terms of service and the permissions that you're granting your phone?
Yeah, who
Like,
even reads them?
exactly, exactly. But I find it absolutely creepy and intrusive. And now there's a counter argument, which is, listen, if you're going to see 10 ads a day, no matter what, isn't everyone better off if they are more targeted to your interests? But that seems to me sort of like a red herring.
Yeah. Okay. And I just had one more quick question, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So you have sort of, not, I wouldn't say flippantly, but because, you say you don't really do as much coverage for the people polling at 1%, but you've stated prior that, and in actually a previous call, Tulsi doesn't really have a chance of becoming the Democratic nominee. And I agree.
Mm,
I'm personally a Bernie supporter, so it's not like I'd be voting for her anyway.
sure.
But in my humble opinion, well, I don't know if it's humble, but Bernie, Yang, and Tulsi are probably my top three, even though the latter two pretty much have no chance at
Okay.
this point. I kind of agree with your assessment, but I want to know what your opinion is on the fact that even though Tulsi, polled very low, She met the donation threshold and polled not well above, but enough on plenty of polls that would otherwise be considered legitimate if not for the DNC's random requirements that seem to be rather obscure. And I want to know what your opinion is on that. Like, should she have been allowed in the debate? Like, do you think that the polls that cited her as having polled above 2% should have been taken seriously?
Listen, my opinion, it's sort of like whatever I think about which polls should have been included, it wasn't a secret which polls counted, and it was known which polls were counting long before it was known who would meet the criteria in those particular polls. So like, I think the DNC does a lot of terrible stuff. They are gatekeepers in many ways that I find to be destructive. But the idea that after seeing that if certain polls were counted, Tulsi would be in, the DNC decided we're only going to count other ones. That's just not the way that it went. The polls that were counting were decided ahead of time. And it just, I have a hard time feeling outraged about it. I do.
I wouldn't say I'm outraged about it because I wasn't going to vote for her in the first place because, like I said, I'm more of a Bernie supporter.
Yeah.
I guess then you could back it up from there and say, do you think that practice of only picking specific polls, which certainly favor the DNC preferred candidates, because there's plenty of evidence that they over-select older voters, et cetera, and things like that.
Yeah, we've looked in detail at a lot of the polls, and most of them are not oversampling older voters. They are accounting for the fact that older voters are actually more likely to vote than younger voters. And I think that that's a completely legitimate thing to consider. But listen, I mean, the problem is if you have no standard, then anyone can just get a poll done. You can just purchase, anyone can fund a poll and you can demand that it be done in a certain way. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, there needs to be some kind of line.
All right, fair enough. I understand that answer. Thank you very much, David. I appreciate you taking my question.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate the phone call. Let's take a quick break. If you are on hold, don't hang up because we will go right back to the phones after this.